Peace, everybody. Welcome to Randomly Selected. My name is Mario. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Tell your friends to subscribe. You can listen to this wherever you get your podcast. And don't forget to check out my man, Dwayne Powell, with Sound Rotation, Sunday night, 6 p.m. Central, right here on Silver Room Radio. Today we have Ciera McKissick on the program. Ciera is an amazing artist and curator and everything, man. She's really dope. We talk about her moving back toward the South Side into Hyde Park and her growing up in Madison, Wisconsin, and some time that she spent there during the COVID time to commune with nature and such. Ladies and gentlemen, Ciera McKissick. Ciera McKissick is in the seat today. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing well.
It's good to see your face.
You too.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. And I definitely remember seeing you around the promentory all the time back in the day.
I know. Back in the day.
Which was really just like
3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago. But it feels so long ago.
Yeah. I understand that you moved to Hyde Park now.
Yeah, I recently just moved about a month ago now.
How you liking it?
I love it. I'm really excited to be on the South Side. I've been in Pilsen for 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's definitely the first neighborhood outside of Pilsen that I've lived in, and me and my partner moved in together.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful crib.
Oh, nice.
And I'm just excited to
You
start
managed
something
to
new.
find a house in Hyde Park? You live in.
Yeah, it's like one of those walk-up courtyard apartment buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, like a block away from Farrakhan's house. So.
I know exactly what you're talking about. One of those old school Hyde Park homes.
Yeah. Super, super gorgeous.
That's good for you, man.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to really examine the differences in or examine is a bad word. Notice the differences between being in Pilsen, which has its own vibration and super gentrified now, although the few Mexican brothers and sisters that are still there hold it down
Holding
fiercely.
Holding down the good fight.
Hold it down fiercely in Pilsen. Shout out to my peoples. But have you noticed those differences?
Yeah, I definitely have. And what's interesting about the two neighborhoods is they're both going through gentrification as well. And I think that the difference between Pilsen and Hyde Park is like the people in the area in Pilsen are really, really fighting and holding it down for not having change. I mean, I heard once a Starbucks was trying to come to Pilsen and they protested every day for 2 weeks.
Yes, they did.
To like boycott it. So definitely love that. I'm going to miss the murals and the art and like tacos, of course, and stuff. But I'm really excited to be in a new change of pace. And it's been an interesting kind of amalgamation of people, especially living in such a large courtyard building. There's the university folks. You've got like older white folks. You've got black people, young people. Like it's entirely a mix of like different kinds of people. So I'm really excited to
I think
see
people
that.
like you being in the neighborhood add a lot to it. Back in my day, being in Hyde Park when I was a little kid, this was more of a hippie situation
That's
at
interesting.
HB. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, it was flower power my ass. It was going down in
wow.
Hyde Park.
Oh my
and I
gosh.
think there are elements of that are kind of coming back now. So having creatives be showcased in this neighborhood is always a nice thing.
Yeah, I'm excited to just be around some beautiful black people too.
Yeah,
like,
I feel you.
This neighborhood.
I don't mind it.
It's good for that as well.
I don't mind it. Speaking of Hyde Park, was the idea to move into Hyde Park, was that spawned by the Hyde Park Arts Center?
Well, yeah, I do work at the Hyde Park Arts Center as well, so I'm like a 2-minute bike ride from my own job.
See, look at you.
Yeah.
What are you doing for them? You got like didn't they set you out some cash, didn't they?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
They hooked you up, they gave you some loot?
I got an
Look at them.
Artists Run Chicago grant.
I make it sound like they just walked up to you like, "Hi, Ciera, here's some money."
I mean, that's what it felt like. We got the call about the grants just before Christmas break. And it was kind of like, I wasn't expecting it. It was a huge secret. And I got this call and it was like on my calendar. And I was like, why do I have like a random meeting? Like I thought I was in trouble or something like that. They're like, congratulations, you got money. And I was like, what? So it's really great because I can help my work with AMFM and continue that further. And I've been really like working at the Hyde Park Arts Center, and I work at Oxbow School of Art, which is a school based out in Michigan, but they have a Chicago side of things, and I do social media and stuff. But I wanted to work at institutions specifically to learn how they work and to strengthen my skill sets and hone in kind of more on the nonprofit world so that I could eventually apply those skills to my work with AMFM and help elevate those things as well. But yeah, I'm doing programming at the Hyde Park Arts Center and I absolutely love it.
I'm right around the corner from it. So I can, you know, I see the mural with Amina and Cool Out on the side. I'm like, okay, that's what's happening.
Come through. We got some fun stuff going on.
I would love, well, thank you. I'd love to come through.
Yes.
You and I got something in common.
What do we have in common?
Besides the fact that we're both beautiful.
Yes.
We both spent time at U of WM.
Oh, Madison?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now, my time spent there was way different than your time spent there. But we both spent time there. My Wisconsin. Are you from Wisconsin?
I'm from Wisconsin.
Really?
Yeah.
What city?
Milwaukee.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yes.
Really?
Born and raised. Yeah.
Wow. I thought for some reason you were always.
I'm like honorary Chicagoan.
No, you're
but
not honorary.
I've been here
You've
for
been
7 years
You
now.
are in. I don't know if there's a rule. If you've been in Chicago more than 6 days, you're official.
All right.
So
I was only supposed to stay here for a year, and I'm still here. So, yeah.
So before, I want to get back to that, but talk to me about your experience at Madison.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you bring that up, actually, because I just went on a road trip and we passed through Madison and I decided to stop there.
Yeah.
And I haven't been back to Madison since college.
Wow.
So back in, 2009 or so, I think I graduated from there. But I went to my old apartment that I had, my old job, which is sadly closed, during COVID. It was a hot spot on campus. We went to the Union, had a beer along the terrace and everything. Nice. And it was super interesting to be there as an adult and see how much has changed, but also how little has changed. And when I was there, I was a part of the People program, which was a pre-college program where every summer in high school I was going up on campus to take actual college credit courses and being in a cohort of people of color specifically so that we could meet each other because, as you know, and a lot of people know, Madison is super white.
The boy.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh,
I mean, I was even getting some stares when I was up there recently.
Really?
Yeah, just because, some things changed, but some things haven't changed.
Fact.
I'm an interesting looking person, I guess. But I definitely enjoyed my time there while I was on campus, but know kind of the tensions that lie there. And it's been interesting to see.
I got 3 things about Madison that are my 3 best memories. The bar with the oak tree in it. I can't remember the name of that bar.
I know what you're talking about.
But that bar with this with a real live, straight up oak tree in the bar. And the first time we went in there, my boy was going to U of M, and the first time we go in there, and I'm not even seeing this gigantic tree. I go to the bar, I get a beer or something, and I turn around and I go, "Hey, why is there a tree in here?" The second memory, Ned the Dead, who's the Midwest, the other Svengoolie.
Okay.
So Chicago, Rich Cole's my man, the Svengoolie, but they had a dude in Wisconsin who was Ned the Dead. It was the same premise, right?
Okay.
And then the Great Midwest Marijuana Harvest.
Oh, wow.
So that was at the state. It was in the Capitol building.
Yeah.
And my aunt called me, and mine is now deceased. She goes, "Hey, how you doing?" I go, "I'm good." She goes, "Yeah, I just saw you on CNN."
Oh my God.
And I was like, "No, you didn't." She was like, "Yeah, you smoking reefer up in the Capitol building,
my
huh?"
goodness.
Yeah. So that my Wisconsin memories, though few, are very
my goodness.
huge. I love it up there though. It's a beautiful part of the United States.
I want to spend some more time up there. I did some great vintage shopping for the new apartment and stuff like that. So yeah, I got to hang out. It was cool.
Is that part of your I know as an artist, your art took a bit of an arc in terms of, instead of it just being about getting your work out, you started really kind of helping other people to get their work out. Is that part of your trajectory? You think that's more what you want to do as opposed to getting your stuff going?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's always been that way. I actually started AMFM in college at UW my senior year. It was an independent study project, and I was working with a professor taking journalism classes. So my roots are in journalism and communications, wrote for the school newspaper and music magazine. So I've always been interested in elevating other people's stories and really focusing on emerging artists, because I was like, oh oh, my friends are making really great music or really great art. Like I want to put on for them instead of writing about Kanye or something or his album or Beyonce or something like that. So I designed the entire website, worked with my professor, and ended up getting an A on it. I did like 12 interviews and everything like that. And I didn't think anything of it at the time that I would like be doing it still 10 years later. But I oftentimes look back at that time and like how my past has really cultivated that history and like the work that I do. And really my work and what I'm here for is to help elevate other people and like use my resources and my skills to give them the limelight, I think.
Ciera is amazing in her ability to be able to talk to people on different sides of the equation, if you will. Kind of like how Harold Washington was able to be in a big time meeting situation or hang out at Daly's and have a meal. I'll talk to her about how she's able to get along with other artists and how that informs her decisions when it comes to curating shows and such.
Yeah, I like to just keep it real with people and connect with people in all different kinds of ways. I think oftentimes, especially in the art world or like music industry and things like that, you can get caught up in a lot of the fluff. And I like to just really be with the people and speak with the people and let them know what's up. Especially working with artists, oftentimes they don't know how to explain what it is that they're doing. So I like to ask the right questions and like be able to get the word out about them in a way that they may not be able to.
Who you digging in your world?
In my world?
Who's the next big Ciera McKissick in your world?
There is no other Ciera McKissick.
That's true.
That's just me.
I will let that be randomly selected rule number 171. There's nobody like the person that sits in that chair.
Yes, but
only one.
Some folks that I've been digging, like artistically, my friend Erin Leanne Mitchell is a really amazing artist, and she is based out in Birmingham, spent like 10 years in Chicago teaching, but she recently came back to Chicago for the summer just to reconnect. And I really, really love the work that she's making right now. And even seeing how her leaving Chicago kind of catapulted her career to a different level as well. She got signed to a gallery. She has a work in a museum out in Birmingham as well, alongside Carrie James Marshall and folks like Mika Lane Thomas and things like that. And she was one of my AMFM resident artists back in the day. So being able to follow the artists that I've worked with since the beginning and see them kind of elevate and grow has been really special to me, and being able to reconnect with her has been awesome. So she's definitely someone to look out for. And I really love this new punk duo called Orison. They joined forces, and it's totally different than music that you would hear. It's kind of got this raw like energy to it. It's a drummer, guitarist, and singer. And they're super hot right now. I really, really love the vibe. They're going to be performing at our upcoming Feast Festival this summer. So
we'll talk about that. Where is it?
So it's September 11th and 12th.
Okay.
And it's the third iteration that we've been doing. We started it back in, 2018. Yeah, that would be 3 years ago. 2018, and it's a festival that brings awareness to food deserts on the south and west side, but also the tagline is everybody eats. It's also a festival to focus solely on emerging artists, because I was finding that a lot of the Chicago music festivals, you have to be famous or almost famous to perform at them. And I wanted to put together something solely for them to have a platform like a festival. The first year we did it, we had first and second year, we had 2 stages. So they were called Salt and Pepper. It's all themed around food. We partnered with Imperfect Produce, and they gave us 2,000 pounds of produce to just give away for free to folks.
Shout out to Imperfect Produce.
Yeah, they've been a wonderful partner, definitely.
They do the work.
Last year for 2020, we unfortunately obviously couldn't do the festival, but we still did a virtual component. And this year we're back, but on a smaller scale. And I'm kind of just excited to be with people outside and do the good work.
Is that journalism bug in you, wanting to make sure people get treated fairly?
Yeah, gotta remain objective and try to give the people what they need and what they want.
So if I'm reading this right, you are curator. Everybody hates the word curator.
Yeah.
That's why I said it like that. Curator.
Yes.
You're a curator. You do a fair amount of team building, if you will, getting folks to improve their game.
Yeah.
Where do you find all that energy from?
I honestly don't know. I get this question so much because it's like I have 2 jobs plus AMFM plus all my other side stuff. And I think I just churn it out and like try to take things one at a time. I have the ability to like wear multiple hats and have my hands in multiple different pots and stuff. And it just lives in my brain and I try to just push it out as it comes. Like,
well, for example, you're the curator of the art at Silver Room.
Yeah, one of the curators. Yeah.
And I ask how you were approached to do that, but upon being approached to do it and knowing the dimensions of that space, are you thinking, okay, what do I put in here that's going to one fit in the space?
Yeah.
Make sense with the philosophy of the place? What is that like for you?
Yeah, it's been really fun to curate at the store because I think it's a different level of engaging people through art, especially in a space. People are coming into a store to go shopping and they're not necessarily expecting to engage with art. So I'm thinking about what types of art would catch people's eye while they're perusing for clothes, what types of artists that are like on the cusp of emerging or are doing work that I'm noticing and want to put them in a completely different kinds of space outside of a white cubed gallery. Yeah. And one of my favorite shows that I did there was actually in 2020 with Christopher Thought Poet Vinay. And it was a series of photos of Black people from the West Side, and it was during the uprisings, and all of the images were really, really beautiful. They were in black and white. They were Black people just being able to be in their essence. And it was so different than what we were seeing in the mainstream media. So I think that people coming into that space, it made me think about like the Block Party and like those times when Black people come together and can just be joyful and be free. And a portion of the proceeds of the sales went to support organizations that were like doing activism work during that time. And that was really, really well received. And then I switched it up and did like this show with this super huge artwork that took over the space and kind of encompassed it using kind of like decollage style work, where the artist said that he took torn billboard pieces and kind of layered them on top of one another. And then I went really, really small with my last show for Sandra Phillips, who is a poet and now makes art as well too. So just thinking about people that I've got my eye on and like radar on and that I want to be in that space.
So back to that question again, the ability, and I know this from having to do this sometimes myself, the ability to be able to say, I'm seeing such and such do XYZ and I like what they're doing. Let me make sure I keep that in the back of my mind in case something comes up. That's kind of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Especially like with Zandria, because she's poet.
Yeah.
She's like big time poet. Like no joke, big time writer. And I walked in on you two at Silver Room and I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And I did not know that she did artwork, and it's beautiful work.
No, they make really amazing artwork, and I was interested in really fusing together the two kind of ideas of being a poet and turning to art and how those two concepts can fuse together. Yeah. I was really also excited about getting their book in the Silver Room to be sold. So that was a part of the agreement as well. And just being able to see the methodical approach of their work, because it's so intricate, color theory, like lines and things like that, which made me think about form when it comes to their poetry as well. So I thought it was an interesting show to do, and it was their first art show. Yeah.
What about you, though? I mean, you're putting everybody else on. Your work is pretty profound.
Where have you seen my work?
Well, here's the thing. Fair question. I've seen your work in the work of other people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I know that Ciera McKissick gets down.
Yeah.
Are you back on, particularly with this thing you've got going with the Hyde Park Art Center? Is this an opportunity for you to showcase more of your artwork?
Well, I think my role there is more so programmatic, but something that I'm really excited about is I recently got a studio space at the Chicago Art Department.
Aha.
And before, when I was in the Chicago Art Department, when I first moved here, I was there in a curatorial space and I was doing events and things. But now I'm solely there to make my own work. And a lot of the work I've been making has been focused on family history and going through old photos and trying to make some connections. And I do a lot of text-based work as well, where I'm wood burning phrases and like entries from my grandmother's journal onto wood and like staining the wood. So I don't show that work very often just because it's so personal. And I've been thinking like, oh, should I do a show or something like that? But being at the Hyde Park Art Center supports that, because in working there, the employees all get to take a free class of their choice. So I'm really interested in taking ceramics or taking screen printing to kind of elevate my artistic practice as well. And what else? I've also been making collage like video projects too.
Really?
Which has been fun, like inspired by Arthur Jafa's Love is the Message that was at the Museum of Contemporary Art.
Yes.
I made a film in 2020 called Black Independence Day. It's not a film, it's a video project, but made it for an event that I was doing for the Allied Media Conference, and I do this event with them called Black Independence Day for the last 3 years, where it's really elevating Black businesses, Black artists, and I wanted an intro since it was virtual, so I'd kind of pulled all these YouTube clips together of Black people and like what Essence like talks about it, from like historical things to like 12 O'Clock Boys and stuff like that. And I had so much fun with it. Yeah. And then I got the opportunity to do another one with the Southside Home Movies Project. And that one was super fun.
Stewart.
Yes. Yes. I was like a little starstruck. My parents were like, you got to talk to Jacqueline Stewart, because they're a big TMC fan. Yeah, they were like, no way. Yeah.
She was just a guest.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's right.
Yes. Yes.
Just a guest. Black joy. What exactly does that mean? Particularly in a new era of where enlightenment for LGBTQ plus folks, as not just artists, but just regular folks, and how they're seen and what type of light they're seen in. Black joy. People say that all the time, but what does that really mean?
I feel like I sprinkle a little bit of Black love in all the work that I do, because it comes from me.
Yeah.
But also I'm really about creating visibility for artists of that caliber, for queer artists, for Black artists to be able to, like I said, show up as their authentic selves and be able to showcase what they've got. Because I think oftentimes so much gets stifled, or there's conversations about labor and like what kind of exchange that is, that I think that being able to just elevate that so that it's seen more makes it more not acceptable, but normalizes like Blackness and Black love. Not that it should be normalized or anything like that, but even thinking about television shows from the past or things in media, growing up and not seeing yourself, that's super, super important when you have representation. Even though identity politics and representational politics isn't always something that we should strive for, but I do think that visibility is important. Especially like even like Lil Nas X from BET. I've been talking to a lot of folks about his performance and stuff. You would never see something like that on television. And I can understand people's arguments for why it's bad, but think about young Black gay boys growing up and seeing that. That's super, super important. It lets them know that they're okay and that they're not wrong in this life too.
Working with the organizations I've worked with in the past, when I was a teaching artist doing poetry, one big concern then and now was the suicide rate of young gay boys and girls. Mm-hmm. And the part of that is just what you spoke about. The fact that they never saw themselves anywhere outside of themselves. Mm-hmm. And it could weigh on a person. Imagine, don't even have to imagine it. This world, this country was very much super white, where you wouldn't see, if you saw, I hope we don't get canceled for saying his name. If you saw Bill Cosby on TV in the 60s, that was like the only Black person you saw on television. If you saw Nat King Cole doing a variety show, that was the only person you saw. So being able to see something like that on BET, I am sure for a young gay man or a young gay woman had to have been like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, maybe the visceral reaction is, oh my God, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah.
But the other reaction is they did that.
It's like, oh my God, I can't believe they did that. That's what's up.
That's something.
Definitely.
That's
and
something. And that thing, that movements have never started sheepishly. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Movements have never started sheepishly, no matter what the movement is. It's never started timidly. It's never been like, okay, guys, we're about to storm the Bastille today. Are you ready? No, it's always had fire and
it's always
power
like
behind
a spark or something like that. And what's interesting too, my work in Milwaukee before I moved here, I was working at an LGBT public health agency, and a lot of my work was centered around anti-gay discrimination, and I was doing like this large-scale billboard campaign and doing like focus groups with people to talk about their views and opinions on gay people, specifically gay Black men, because of the high HIV rates in the city, and doing these interventions, going to churches and talking to pastors and stuff like that. It was super hard and draining work because you're basically trying to convince people to like accept gay people.
Right.
But I think that, like what you were talking about, a lot of it stemmed from the roots of not being accepted either within their family or within society, and talking about those suicide rates or how people cope with those things and how they affect the person. So like, I think I come from that place, and like, that's where I learned a lot of my community engagement and like really going across those barriers and boundaries to connect with people too.
It seems like if it seems like if we don't address suicide rate in general amongst Black and brown people, men and women, boys and girls, particularly after COVID, during COVID, and after post-COVID, and just trying to get reacclimated. Although it seems pretty easy for us to be like, okay, back to work.
Yeah.
I know I want to do this. I want to do that. There are a lot of people living with not just gay folks, but there are people living with like real anxiety now in this moment, being back in a situation where it's still not clear if the pandemic is over.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm one of those people. I'm like, I don't want to go back to how things were. I don't think that we should. I feel like if we did, then have we learned nothing? The way that we operate as a society has been fundamentally like rooted in capitalism and like oppression, and even like returning to nature. I've been spending so much time in nature. I went to the Badlands for my birthday, and seeing those ancient lands, learning about the indigenous history there and how people talked about exploration and like colonialism and like justification of that, but also just being totally immersed in like mountains and like trees and things like that really put a lot into perspective. Like, we're so small and we make things so big. And I actually like had such an emotional reaction. I like burst into tears like my last day, because I knew that I had to come back and just hop back in the grind. And I've been trying to hold on to some semblance of like being grounded, because I feel like the pandemic, yes, it was really unfortunate and sad, and a lot of hurt and pain came from it, but I also think it unearthed a lot of like grounding within me and like slowing down and like working with intention, I think.
I wanted to know what her day-to-day movement was like post-COVID, and how she does her thing, being such an important person in the community, particularly in the arts community, and just how she got along in the midst of a global pandemic.
I personally haven't like done any of that stuff. I've really just been trying to like, and it's weird because I'm like an event thrower and like a person who like does the cultural things in the city, but I've been really hesitant of like letting those things go. And then there's this whole like virtual world infringing on the real world.
And
so
that's
I'm in
weird too.
2 different places. Like it's double the work and like double the Ciera.
I did not know, Ciera, that Zoom would be so important to my life.
Yeah.
And I was on Zoom before COVID. Like, this is
I've
pretty
never
cool.
even heard of Zoom. I'm surprised you have been on Zoom
I was
before.
on it for like doing nothing stuff. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, hey, I can talk to you, and like 8 people can talk at the same time. All right, bye everybody. And now it's like, man, I got a Zoom meeting at 10 and then another at 12. And I'm going to have a Zoom conference, and I got to make sure that the Zoom. And it's like, I want to be around people. But then the opportunity to get around people, it's like, I don't know if I really want to be around people like that.
Yeah. The circles got smaller. Yeah. But I also, there's been some.
I'll say that again. The circles did get smaller.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And like I said, people are having more intentional time spent together. Because when you're going out to an event or to a bar, you're not really spending time with the people that you're with. There's all these extraneous things that are happening. It's like the same questions being asked, like, oh, what are you working on? What are you up to? And that's not always the stuff that I want to talk about. I want to talk about, other things like me going hiking or like me, what's going on with my mom back home and stuff. And I think especially being an artist and like a person on the scene, like the conversations can become draining or like the same oftentimes.
And those things tend to spark inspiration in you.
You need that dormant time to be able to incubate, I think.
I've seen you around and I know how you get down. You're not about to pull a fast one on me, Ciera McKissick.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I like the most about you, and this has nothing to do with your art, but it has more to do with you. Okay. I don't believe I'm about to say this. I guess what better time to say it than in front of you? That's kind of the premise of the show. To talk to people directly in front of their faces. The thing I like that I've always liked about you, and a relatively short time I've known you, although it seems short, but it hasn't really been that short, is that you've always been of action. I like people. I personally don't like people who are not about action. Okay. I really have a thing about people who are like, yo, this is what we're going to do. You down? Even if you're not, we're doing it anyway. Yeah. I'll see you at it. Maybe I won't. And my experience working at the Promontory and seeing you there for the events that you would be a part of there, I was always encouraged by seeing how you navigate in those spaces. You're kind of like, and don't take this the wrong way, you're kind of like Harold Washington in a way. Mr. Washington was able, and he famously said, I'm able to go and talk to people in a boardroom or in a basement. Yeah, I can make my way around because I am trying to reach all these different people. So I've always liked that about you.
No, I appreciate that.
Not to mention you're very nice.
No, I do appreciate that.
Because you could be like a clown and just be out here wilding.
Yeah, no, I try to just like show up for people in the same way, no matter who they are. Like, I think also when I was growing up, I used to just take the city bus and like have the most interesting conversations with just random strangers on the bus and stuff like that. Like I was 12, like talking to whoever was sitting next to me and stuff. So I think I've always been that way, like inquisitive and like wanting to just meet people where they're at and like get to know people, find some point or way to connect with them on any level.
That's important.
Yeah.
We don't do enough of that as a world, of just accepting you where you're at.
Yeah.
I'm with it. That's what fine.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to make you do anything that you aren't already capable of doing. You're already magnificent. I can't make you more magnificent.
Yeah.
Because my check does not reflect magnificent raising.
Yeah.
But what I hear you saying is I can make your situation better by showing you how to do this or how to display this work. I think that's important. I just think you're badass. I always have. When we were talking about doing this, I don't even think they got your whole name out of their mouth. I was like, yep.
Oh, that's love.
Like, let's go.
No, I love chopping it up with people and chatting.
But I mean, this is important. I think the reason, and I not to, this may end up getting edited out, but I think this idea of these kind of conversations and sparking this kind of dialogue is going to serve us well because we got to have the conversation about a lot of things that we have said we're not going to talk about. We got to have this conversation about how black people treat each other because I don't think there are groups of white folks roaming the South and West Sides killing black people.
Yeah.
I have seen that, evidence of that, maybe so. If anyone has seen it, please, you can reach me by email, mario@gmail.com.
Yeah.
But I think that kind of place that we're in and that kind of work that you do lends to us having those kind of conversations.
Yeah, I'm really all about that. Like, and not taking things at whatever people tell you about a place. Because especially when I moved to Chicago, people were saying, oh, like, don't go to this neighborhood. That's a bad neighborhood. And the first thing I did when I came here was bike to that neighborhood so that I could see what it was all about. And yeah, I think that I move in that way and try to, you know, make my own opinions and like get to know a space in an area before I take into account what other people have already deemed it to be. Yeah.
That sounds like back in the day, when poetry was king in my life. Don't go over on Holman.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm like, word?
Yeah.
What time does the event happen on Holman? I'm catching a bus and a train.
Yeah.
I'm going. And I've always felt like, and I'm sure this is how other people feel in their cities too. You can't tell me I can't go somewhere in my city, man.
Yeah.
Now, if I choose not to go somewhere, I will make that choice. But you telling me not to go is like,
Yeah.
you might as well have told me to get up, rent a room.
No,
I'm
seriously.
going.
I mean, our feast event is actually happening in Holman at
Yeah,
Holman
there
Square
you go.
Park. Yeah,
There
it's
you
the
go.
third year. So,
There you go.
and what I really loved about that was like in doing that festival, I would go door to door and like hand people flyers and like tell them what the event was, let them see me and know who I was. And I was also a resident artist and doing work with the School of the Art Institute, which is in Holman. And that's kind of like a layered experience in and of itself, and
Yeah.
like the institution being over there, but trying to kind of bridge those gaps between the institution and the community. And we were doing like West Side Wednesdays, like poetry pop-ups. Like I was cooking out and grilling out for people, and the best thing I think was that the people from the neighborhood actually came out to the event, and they had their chairs and they were hanging out and like enjoying the food and stuff. And I knew no matter how many people came, that if the people that actually lived over there came, then I had won and like done what I needed to do.
See, that's what I'm talking about. You're bad at it. I think you should get your business cards to have Ciera McKissick and then parenthetically badass.
Yes.
And like some raised.
Some kind of
You
thing, like in some braille or like
Yeah,
text or something
say
like
anything.
that.
Yeah, why not? Go for it. Put
Yeah.
it in Sanskrit too.
Yeah.
Just be like badass. Like,
I
hey,
love
what's
that.
up, player? Better.
Yes.
Before I set you back out into the world to change it, what are some of the things you're looking forward to doing?
What am I looking forward to doing? Well, I do have an event coming up where I'm showcasing one of my video projects at Blanc Gallery. A really awesome space.
Man,
Were you at that event?
Yes.
Yeah, I was out of town in the Badlands, and I saw all over everyone's Instagram.
so we did. I mean, I'm not trying to take this away from you, but we did the Wide Awake Chicago. Shout out to Wide Awakes, Hank Willis Thomas, and all them. We got the
Yes.
Arthur J for Big
Yes.
Wheel
Yes,
at
yes,
Blanc.
yes.
And that party, Dwayne Powell, host
That
of
was-
Sound Rotation that you can hear here on Silver Room Radio.
Insane.
Man, that party was. So you saw it, huh?
I saw it. All of Black Art Chicago was there.
It was wild. I was hanging out with Krista Franklin.
Oh my gosh.
You know, that's my girl, but it was still like,
Yeah.
wow, Krista's here.
Right.
And then I turned around, oh, there he, oh.
Yeah.
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 You said it good
I
for
had
you.
a lot of FOMO, but I was like in the mountains hiking. But we're showing collage style films and inspiration of like Arthur Jafa and the show that's showcased at Blanc right now. I'm super excited about that. And that's on the 15th. I don't know if this will be aired before then, but I'm also excited about.
Actually, yes.
Oh, great.
You are, yeah.
Yeah, so the 15th, come on out
Yes.
to Blanc for that screening. We've got,
I'll be there.
yes, it's Zaki Najiba, Dumas O'Neill is a part of it, Alexandria Regbu, Rohan, and we've got some other really great artists as well.
Nice.
What else do I have going? I have a show opening at Fluxus Contemporary at the end of this month as well, featuring Andrea Coleman, who's a really awesome artist. She was one of the
yeah.
breakout artists this year for New City, and Worth Taha, who's an Oakland-based artist, whose work I found on Instagram and like discovered through my work with Oxbow. And I'm really, really excited because he just got a residency at Next Haven, which is out in like Connecticut area. And I wanted to pair him with Andrea because I'm interested in working with more artists outside of the city, but you know, bringing them here and pairing them with someone so that we can elevate them both at the same time. And that's on the 24th, the opening of that.
You're brilliant, man. I love you. I'm glad that I know you.
I'm glad that I know you too.
I'm actually, you know,
Yes,
it's only like
I remember you were doing poetry at the Green
we go.
Green Mill.
This is
Yes.
It takes a turn.
No. So
Yeah, I was doing
Yeah,
it. I
super
think.
good stuff.
Were you there when I was doing it with
it was
Jun-
like on Sundays.
with Junius and D? You were there? Did I see you?
I don't think so, but yeah.
Oh wow, you were there for real? Are
yeah.
you serious? You
yeah.
were there.
It's good stuff.
So I got asked that. I had never been asked to read at the Green. I don't believe I'm
It's
telling
like it's
this
the Green Mill. That's
It's the
awesome.
mill. It's like, word,
Yeah.
I'll do it. And Mark Smith invited me, and I read as much incendiary shit as I could find. And I asked D. Alexander and Junius Paul, and that was the first time we ever did that on stage. I'm like, would you guys play with me? I have a lot of nerve
Yeah.
to ask D. Alexander to sing behind me and Junius Paul to play.
Yes.
I'm so stupid. I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll ask
No,
them.
you got this.
Ask them, and they're like, yeah, of course. D comes in, she's like, you lucky I love you. I'm like, oh.
Yes.
She's mad. They killed it, and you were there.
No,
for
you
that.
got to turn it out. You got to turn it out for the people.
I'm good.
Yes.
Now I might write a poem later.
Yes, let's do it.
I am really right in my moment right now. Thank you. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
See, I'm gonna say this to you, and then I'm gonna set you out into the world. You never know who sees what you do. You never know who hears what you say. You gotta be purposeful in every move you make, because you don't know who's influenced by your work. Even if it's not your name on it, but you bring an artist to a space to do their thing, you never know. And it is so refreshing that knowing people like you who take that into account.
Yeah.
Let me make sure that this is right. Let me make sure this is right for the people.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you. I like that.
You're now no longer randomly selected. I got to think of a tagline. We need a killer tagline. He never says anything. This is not going to happen. There's no killer tagline. I'll put
You're
this
the poet in the room, so I mean,
not
I do
gonna
a
come
little
from
poetry
me.
too.
You got enough. You can do that. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you, Ron. It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate you more. We'll have to
Yes.
have you back sometime.
Yes, please do. Or I'll suggest some people that you should have on here.
Why not?
Yeah.
That works for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna say this to you, and then I'm gonna set you out into the world. You never know who sees what you do. You never know who hears what you say. You gotta be purposeful in every move you make, because you don't know who's influenced by your work. Even if it's not your name on it, but you bring an artist to a space to do their thing, you never know. And it is so refreshing that knowing people like you who take that into account. Let me make sure that this is right. Let me make sure this is right for the people.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you. I like that.
You're now no longer randomly selected. I got to think of a tagline. We need a killer tagline. He never says anything. This is not going to happen. There's no killer tagline. I'll put
You're
this
the poet in the room, so I mean,
It's not
I do a
gonna come
little
from
poetry
me.
too.
You got enough. You can do that. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you, Ron. It's been a pleasure.
I appreciate you more. We'll have to
Yes.
have you back sometime.
Yes, please do. Or
For
I'll
our-
suggest some people that you should have on here.
Why not?
Yeah.
That works for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being here. It is wonderful that everybody is digging what we're doing. We really appreciate it. On behalf of the Silent Production team, thank you. And also thank you on behalf of Eric Williams, who is a wonderful man who has not pulled the plug on me yet and hopefully never will. Bless his heart. We'll be back for episode 12. You make sure you come back as well. Don't forget to tell all your friends. Subscribe. Peace, power, and progress. Later.
I am Ciera McKissick, and I was randomly selected.